Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Supreme Being. Today I want to talk about something that's extremely important, as usual, right? Because all the things we talk about here are extremely important, but it's a concept that I've played with a lot in my life and that is extremely overlooked. I want to give you some examples and really explore it for what it really is, okay? And it is always do more than is expected of you, okay? And when I say expected of you, I don't necessarily just mean when someone else puts an expectation on you. I mean you of yourself too. So let me describe this a little bit. Many of you, and first and foremost, shout out to Team BC, right? My real estate team. We now have opened up an investment division. We also do wholesaling. If you're interested, reach out to me if you'd like to join and you're in the real estate world. Shout out to Modern Success, my coaching program, right? All you guys, BRYAN to check that out. Also, if you are interested, I am doing a huge 6-hour sales and communication event called the Ultimate Sales Technician, hosted the 30th and 31st of December here of 2021, and it will be streamed online, live. It will be here in person as well in my Miami office, and every single attendee that signs up will receive a full HD recording. Okay, so if you're interested, again, that's on my website along with everything else. Let's talk about the expectation portion of do more than is expected of you. For those of you who don't know, I had a very extensive athletic history, right? Prominently, I played basketball, college, high school, college, pro, right? Didn't make the NBA, really wanted to. Had a lot of experience playing summer leagues with top competition, Drew League, pre-draft camps and all that fun stuff, right? Like I pretty much hit like the second highest level, right? When I think back on my career, because I'm bringing up basketball and my athletics because that was really the first thing that I desired as a child, set as my goal, and I said, yo, this is what I want to do with my life. This is who I want to become. This is the mountain that I want to climb, right? With that said, I knew that it would take a lot from me, regardless of how much natural talent that I had, to reach that peak, right? And I never wanted a shortcoming to arise or for me to feel like I didn't make it or get that next opportunity because I didn't work hard enough. That was a dedication of mine. I said, it's never gonna be me. Let it be something outside of my control. Let it be the wrong agent, the wrong promoter, bad circumstances, earthquake comes, or a lightning bolt hits our plane, like some random shit like that, right? Let it be something like that extreme outside of my control. Never let me get a feeling or have the thought to say, man, I should have worked harder. I could have done a little bit more. All those days that I was practicing, I could have shot an extra 10 shots. I could have stayed an extra 20 minutes after practice. I could have shot more free throws. That was in my mind. I said, I never want it to be me, caused by my lack of effort or not doing enough. And I made that decision early on in my athletic career. That's why I was the first one to show up, the last one to leave. Whenever people left on breaks, I'd get a copy of the keys from my coaches. Like, it was just that level of dedication when it came to basketball in my athletic career, right? So that was me. Now, I do want to give a shout out to a lot of my coaches and people around me. They saw that I had a lot of talent and potential, and they pushed me harder and expected more of me than my teammates in many cases, right? Not every coach, but a lot of them, right? So that was something outside of me. They set that expectation. However, I made the first point because that was the internal one. That was me with me, right? And I want to make that clear distinction because both are important. However, that first one, the internal one, it's under your control, and that is superior and supreme to the second one. The second one, like a coach or someone else or something outside of you, that is a bonus, okay? That is not a requirement. You may not get it, but the first one, absolutely a requirement, okay? I want to make that clear. Now, that was athletics. In the career, right? In the career, you look at a lot of the things that I suggested to the salespeople who follow me, right? The entrepreneurs, the real estate agents, right? Anybody looking to improve themselves, health, right? Mindset, communication, whatever, all right? Think about all the times over episodes that I have given you instructions and said, you know what, try this as homework. Do this. Talk to this many people, make this many calls, go knock on doors, right? Go to networking events, whatever I've said, right? Think about it, right? Now, If every single time you went out and did it, good, man. That's a great start. Because now you're watching, you're engaging, and you're actually doing the work. Fantastic. I applaud that. Okay? Well, what's a step above that? A step above that would be for you to do that and then come back to me and maybe ask a question or report back and say, dude, my friend, you recommended that I knock on 100 doors a day. I did that every single day, but I took it to the next level. I knocked on 120 doors every day for a year straight. Whoa, okay. That person, I will willingly have a conversation with. That's the person who has that X factor, who has that little thing that's extra, that is that secret sauce, even though it's not a secret, but it's that secret sauce that will help you grow faster, increase your likelihood of succeeding in whatever it is tenfold, right? Bridge any gap that you may have in natural talent, not having the right connections or opportunity. That's that equalizer right there, what I just described. Now, to a lot of people, it's like, well, it's just a little bit of extra effort, right? But a little bit of extra effort extrapolated over 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, a lifetime. Oh man, now that goes a long way. That goes a very long way. This is how you create a gap between you and everybody else. This is how you get so far ahead that nobody can touch you. And I know in many aspects, for a lot of people, in some categories, I have hit that level. I've dedicated myself for so many years at extra effort compared to everybody else that I know even if I stop now, the likelihood of people catching me is slim to none. Most people. Just because of this level of dedication that I'm talking about here, right? But I always ran with this as a mantra: do more than is expected of you, period. And it wasn't like, and this is where I think people come to like a mistake. I didn't care if I got notoriety for it. I didn't do it for the attention. I didn't do it so people would notice and pat me on the back, which is why I think a lot of people sometimes like this, because it's like, oh, I can make content or get more likes. Dude, forget that. That's already external motivation and external driving forces. It should 100% be internal. You want to be the best at what you do. You want to get ahead of your competition. You want to literally be unstoppable. That's why you need to do this. No other reason. No other reason at all. If that now becomes a driving force, okay, because it's internal. But it can't be for the attention or the spotlight or any of that. That can't even come to the equation. That needs to be a byproduct of your hard work and come, not because that's all you wanted, but because that is the fruits of your labor. That is a reward that you would get for putting in the work and doing what it is that you're supposed to do. Right? Make that be the reason, not just because you want the attention. That's a huge mistake that people make when it comes to the subject. So, you look at anything you do now. Let's say you're brand new. All right, you're looking to get more results. Many of you who follow me are more in the beginner intermediate category. That's just the nature of it, right? If you're listening to podcasts and YouTube, for the most part, right? Generally speaking. If we're looking to shorten the learning curve, if you're looking for a secret, if you're looking for the magic bullet and pill, this is it. Because let me explain this to you in a simple way to make this make sense. Because to a lot of people, they're like, well, I'm working extra, I'm working a lot harder, I'm doing a lot more. Are you though? If somebody's gonna work, let's say there's a work day, and in that same work day, you put in a little bit more time, right? Let's say people work 8 hours a day, you're gonna work 8.5 or 9 to apply this technique, right? This theory, right? Whatever we wanna call it. Let's say you're gonna do that. If somebody's working 8 hours and then you work an extra 30 minutes or an extra hour, is it really that much? Are you really working that much extra? I mean, stop and think about it for a second. If you'd already put in 8 hours straight, what's an extra half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour? 10%, something like that, 12%? So you've already done 90% of it. It's not like I'm asking you to double that output, right? Like then it would say, okay, yeah, that's a lot. Instead of being done, you'd only be halfway. But is it really that much? Plus, it's the same work day. It's not like you're working 10 work days and they're working 7. No. They're working 7, you're working 7. They're doing 8 hours, you're doing 8.5 or 9. It's like a little bump. So in essence, overall, you're following the same framework as everybody else, but with this small deviation over a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're able to create this huge gap. And what if in that time, that extra 30 minutes or hour takes you from taking 2 or 3 years to get results to only 1 year? Because if you really start doing the math on it, you realize how much of a gap this creates. So let's look at a business person who's now out there like making phone calls, right? Or having conversations and making contacts. We'll use that metric because it's very easy and it's clean math, okay? And let's say one person does, in that workday, they talk to 30 people, right? And let's say in that same amount of time or with a little bit more, you can talk to 35 or 40 people, right? Let's say 40. Let's say within that time, you're a little bit more efficient than them, and then you work a little bit extra, and because of that, they're making 30 contacts, you're making 40 a day. Meaning they're having 30 conversations, you're having 40. And most people would agree with me that even without extra time, if they bumped up their efficiency, they would be able to do it. Because let's face it, most people, they're not efficient with their workday. People who work 8 or 9 hours aren't working all 8 or 9 hours. We know that. It's been statistically proven too, okay? So let's say it goes from 30 to 40. Now let's extrapolate that, right? Let's say these people are working 5 days a week. Okay, 30 times 5, what is that? 150. Well, what's 40 times 5? 200. An extra 25% output and results. Okay, 150, 200. Over a month, 600 contacts versus 800. Over a year, 7,200 contacts, right? Because that would be 600 a month. The other one's 800 times 10, 9,600. 2,400 extra. They just did an extra 4 months of work compared to the other guy for doing 10 more contacts a day over a year. So they got almost half a year of extra productivity from the extra 10 contacts a day. And let's say that took an extra hour of work a day, every day for the year. So with that 10 or 12%, whatever we said in the beginning, right? With that hour or 30 minutes or whatever the difference was, roughly, you got an extra almost 50% of production because of it. Isn't that cool? Isn't that incredible? When you look at that mathematically, it's like you making a bet and getting a for sure 100% positive return. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? So I'm dumbing down this math and I'm giving you a very general example, but what I'm saying here is this has so much benefit that until you break it down like numbers wise this simply, a lot of people just don't get it. They think, oh man, I have to put in all this extra work. You put in a little bit of extra work, sure. But then again, if you do the same thing as everybody else, again, just thinking logically, how can you expect to do better than them or get ahead if you're really literally doing the same thing as them? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, does it? It doesn't make any sense at all. So as I started playing with this subject more, not only had I already made that decision that I'm gonna do extra just because of my desire to be number one in athletics, but when I transitioned into doing the stuff that I do now, real estate, business stuff, sales, communication, all that fun stuff, I said, man, I love this stuff and I don't wanna be good or great. I wanna be the best. I wanna be the fucking best. And for me to be the best, I'm going to have to put in this type of work and do this. But as I started analyzing it like this, I said, dude, it's not like I'm dedicating twice as much time. I mean, I can, and sometimes I do, but even with a small bump over time, I just create this huge lead over everybody else. I would be a fool not to do this. I would literally be a fool. So you fast forward, that's why I'm where I'm at. Right? Now, the majority of that, virtually all of it's internal. Now, externally, okay? You need to get around the right people who require this of you, okay? Let me give you a little secret insight into Team BC. Something that I do with the people that I lead is I take a look at this metric to measure the character of an individual. If I bring somebody in and I say, you're required to knock on 100 doors every day and make 200 phone calls, and they do it, that's fantastic. They'll stay on the team, they're a man of their word, and I'll respect them and treat them like a bona fide team member because they're doing the work that they're supposed to do. Now, the person who has that requirement, that I've set that requirement for, but that does extra, okay. Now they really caught my eye because it's required for them to do 100 door knocks and 200 calls, but they're doing 120 and 250. I really like this person. They have that X factor that I'm looking for in people. They're doing extra, more than is expected of them, not because I'm asking it, but because that's what they want to do. Hopefully they're not just doing it to impress me. I'm sure some do. But if it's coming from an internal place, which would allow them to do it over a long period of time, right? Them just doing it to impress me would probably only last for a little bit, which is why I measure these things over time and also look at people's past. This person may get more of my grace. They may get more of my attention. Why? Because they're earning it. Of course. They're earning it. But I can guarantee, if I'm now to make a bet, that person is probably going to last a lot longer, make more money, and be more successful. Why? Because they're putting in more work. They're going to be able to apply my techniques more often. They're going to shorten the learning curve, which is another benefit. By you doing the activity more and more, you shorten the learning curve. Why? You're getting more reps in, so you're going to learn faster. You're going to progress through a lot of the steps quicker, right? But there's no cheat to do that. You have to put in a little bit more work over time. So what if I told you that that little bit would take your learning curve from taking a year to mastering that first step to now doing it in 8 months or 7 months or 9 months? Isn't that cool that a small bump in effort could reduce your learning curve by 25 to 50%? Is that not worth it for those of you looking for the fast track to success? But there's no other way around it. We're just using math and statistics and momentum and the compound effect, whatever else you want to call it, to our advantage. That's how you do it. These are the hacks explained to you in a simple, logical fashion. That's it. From my experience and other people's experiences. Period. This isn't some hocus pocus shit that was made up. This is real facts. So instead of looking for the cheat or the, oh man, I want the shortcut, which is why a lot of motherfuckers don't study my shit, because I make you work and I prove it to you logically. So you have to fucking accept it. But is it really that bad to put in an extra 10% of work for 40 or 50% results down the road? No. No, unless you're lazy. Unless you don't want to put in the work and you want to deny the reality of the situation. So get to work, my friends. This metric is incredible. Doing more than is expected of you not only fulfills you more and makes you feel better, but that little bit that you do, that little bit that's more than expected of you, man, it opens up so many doors. Think about it. All right, and I'll wrap up this episode like this. You want to attract better people and get better people around you? This is the type of stuff that does that. You shine when you do this. It becomes obvious when you do this. The people who are watching take notice of it. You're more likely to build better connections. You'll be more likely to invest in yourself too, because you know you want to get around that stuff, right? When people start doing this naturally, they start gravitating more towards me. They'll join my coaching and do all that other kind of stuff. And then it makes sense. It makes sense. They're like, oh man, why did I wait so long? Or, oh, okay, now it's making sense. Things are clicking. But that's what it takes. You naturally will start getting more around and doing the things that you need to do to get around the people who are on that wavelength and that vibe and frequency or whatever the buzzwords are nowadays, right? That's what it is. That's how you do it. I've been following this formula long before I was ever talking behind a camera like this. And man, it has led to some incredible results, incredible opportunities, incredible friendships and connections and relationships and all that other stuff, plus all the other results that I've gotten. We talk about something like consistency. What is that? Consistency is me doing what I'm supposed to do for a long period of time, more often than everybody else. That's what equals consistency. If you don't do that, you're not considered consistent. Because if everybody did it, it wouldn't be consistent, would it? That question, how do you stay consistent, wouldn't be a question if everybody did it. So the sheer fact of just doing what you're supposed to do even is rewarded at a higher level. Because most people's efficiency isn't even there, if we want to deconstruct this subject a little bit more. So, in summation, do more than is expected of you. Period, point blank, end of story. That's it. Do that. You do that, everything you want will be at your fingertips, because all the other stuff you're studying is helping you too. Communication, self-esteem, true, genuine mindset, confidence, certainty, all the other stuff, comfort. The result of all of that is a beautiful life, a more fulfilling life, right? So, with that said, my friends, I'll end it here. Do more than is expected of you, always, even when nobody's looking, okay? Shout out to Team BC. If you guys are interested in learning more about my team, the investment side, the traditional side, contact us, jointeambc.com. Shout out to Modern Success, my coaching program, the Ultimate Sales Technician, which is an event coming up 30th and the 31st. If you want to check all that stuff out and more, go to bryancasella.com. All right, see ya.